Hey everyone, welcome back to the Torture Test Magazine channel. So I finally feel like I'm ready to get back into dual sport riding on my CRF230F because I've finally got it to the point where it's rideable after a couple years of slowly fixing problem after freaking problem that were just preventing it from being safe. And after getting in a couple good off-road shreds without ending up dead on it, I'm feeling pretty confident enough to start taking trips on it again. So it looks like I'm finally really going to get back into using a small bike for adventure riding, and that really excites me because I don't know what it is with me, but it's just hard to beat the enjoyment of just going anywhere in the country, hardly paying anything to get there, and then just downgrading the luggage setup and just having a straight up dirt bike to do dirt bike things on and do some shredding. So totally looking forward to that because I've just always had this unreasonable obsession with doing big things on a small bike. It's almost like everything just feels so much more grand and epic to me when I'm doing it on an undersized bike, and I know that doesn't really make sense because you're like the same height off the ground and stuff. Anyway, I can't really explain why I like it so much, I just do. So I'm going to be doing this series again where I'm doing like larger rides on a small bike. So for this first ride, I'm just going out and doing a simple short road trip through an area I'm totally familiar with, just to shake the bike down and find out what sucks about it still so I can fix it, or at least know what I need to keep an eye on. This one's just a simple route with a simple plan. I'm just going 400 miles up the side of Nevada to Eastern California, and then I'm going over Highway 108 to Sonora Pass to meet up with my friend for some camping, and then continuing on 108 to meet up with more friends and family in Modesto. It's the same ride I've done probably like 3 other times on this channel, so I'm really familiar with it, and there's just not a lot of risk to it. So yeah, I set off on the 230, and for that first 400 miles to Sonora Pass, I just went as abusive as possible on the 230 by going wide open throttle pretty much everywhere that I could, just so that I could see the absolute worst fuel efficiency and the absolute worst oil consumption like right off the bat, and then not have to worry about it again. So along the way I ended up making 3 fuel stops to get to the camping spot, and I recorded those numbers, the fuel consumption, and the worst MPG was 53 and the best was 66, and that made the average 60, and those were just way better figures than I expected, given that I just hauled butt and it was holding like 70 for most of the way. That was just really good right off the bat. I was super impressed. And then for the oil consumption, it was only 100 milliliters to get me to the camping spot. So I was wide open for the better part of 400 miles, and that just got me to the bottom of the dipstick on the oil level, and that is just freaking good. And I am just super glad it's that low, because that's gonna make things so much easier in the future when I'm doing even longer rides. Anyway, by the time I got to the camp, things were looking great. All right, on your mark.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah! Oh shit! Oh my gosh! I'm coming around. Holy crap! Damn!
failed. We'll get them next time.
We just noticed that this adapter for the PWK carburetor is totally not sealing. Like you can literally see fuel that has splashed back coming straight out of there, just leaking out. And every time I grab this with my knees, it's like flexing it around, pulling it out, pushing it in. So that is just not not a good solution right there. But I'm gonna keep running it. So this engine stud vibrated itself completely loose, or that's what led to the base gasket down here kind of getting screwed up. Well, I basically have like a pretty dang near close to stripped out case down there. Okay, how do I explain it? The stud is like at the maximum tightness before it's gonna strip out in the cases. But that's not very tight. We're trying to get this nut on there with even the slightest amount of tension.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have like the slightest amount of tension. I mean, there's a little bit of tension on there now.
Oh!
Alright, that's it. I'm not doing anything else. We're going to Mr. Pickholes.
Oh god.
Mr. Pickholes. Unboxing Mr. Pickles.
It's right there.
Damn, that dude's ugly.
It's a pickle.
Yeah, but they made him like jacked up.
And I say that knowing full well that we have
I don't even know what I got. What'd I get? Hot pastwami.
Did you say that? I need to warn Clarissa.
There we are. So wait, hold on. What is this thing?
Stock BMW.
Oh, it's a completely stock BMW. Oh my god! Oh my So that's about all of the shenanigans that I can actually put on the internet for this trip. The ride home from there was fairly uneventful, and when I got back I had 1,140 miles on the meter, and it turned out to be a pretty decent shakedown ride. It revealed a couple problems, but nothing too bad. There was that cylinder stud issue, which again didn't hold up on the way back, but I'll ghetto rig it somehow. There's the carburetor not sealing, which is an easy fix, and it can be done super solid if you want to do a permanent fix. So I'll seal it for now, but I'm not going to do the permanent fix until I'm totally sure that I want to continue using that carburetor on that bike. That thing was also mixing too rich as well, so I'll be trying one position leaner on the needle and maybe one size smaller on the main jet. The Pirelli MT43 rear tire I had on there is just about toast after that trip, so 1,140 miles. So that's probably not a great tire for long trips on the pavement, but I do really like it for off-road on this bike especially, so I'll probably keep some in the garage for rides involving more off-road. For the cost of running analysis on this one, it's going to take a lot more riding before I come up with something decently accurate, but on this ride, including all of the off-road play, the bike consumed 12.27 gallons of fuel, which cost me $66.66. The 100 milliliters of oil consumed was worth 48 cents, and I used about 90% of a $71.88 tire, so that was about $64.69 worth of tire. The front tire was a used freebie, so no expense there. So about $131.83 for the trip, which is actually a little more than I would have spent if I just trailered a bike for the trip with my car. So that big tire cost kind of killed my whole get there cheaply excuse to ride a dirt bike that far, but I can probably reduce that cost by changing my tire selection. When I got home, I asked you all for your thoughts on big trips on a small bike. Tyler from the Everride channel replied with, if you were traveling the most scenic places in the world, would you want to fly over them in a jet or putt around on a scooter? Slow is the way to go. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. I mean, I could have done this trip on my CBR or rented any other bike that allows for triple-digit speeds on those back roads, but then all the sights and everything there is to take in along the way would have have been a blur. And that's fun in its own way, but it's not the same thing. It's not the same type of ride that I was looking for. And then if I carried a bike with my car, I would have probably just been bored like I am just about every time I have to drive somewhere, and I would have just been wishing I was on two wheels of any kind. So again, it's not an equivalent experience. So I would not say any of those three options there could really replace the other. Connor Boynton, I hope I'm saying that right, replied with, "I reckon any bike is a good time, but riding smaller bikes seems to take the stress out of riding for a lot of people. There's not such big consequences for an exaggerated twist of the throttle, and it lowers everyone's ego." And yeah, I guess that is true. If I'm cruising somewhere on the old 230, there's not much that could go wrong that would actually upset me, so stress is low. First of all, I would have to try really hard to get a speeding ticket, so it's just like hold it open and enjoy. Then there's no time to beat, there's no expectation to get there quickly, so it's just get there when I get there. Also, I can hardly imagine a breakdown that would actually ruin my day. If the old thing just stopped dead, I'd just pull my luggage off, hide the bike, chill for a few hours until the next car came, get to the next town, and then start looking on Craigslist for another little thing to continue the journey on. If I was on any bike worth $3,000 or more, I just wouldn't be able to bring myself to do that. I would stay with the bike and stress about getting it straight home, and then it would be trip canceled for sure. There were a ton of other responses, and I was surprised at how few people actually objected to the idea of touring on a little dirt bike. If you missed those posts where I asked about this, or if you have any questions about this trip, the bike setup, gear, planning, whatever, please do ask here in the comment section, because your questions can really help me out by giving me stuff to discuss in the next episode, or stuff to even make a dedicated video on, so please do fire away. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.